Right now, a horrific crane collapsed on a Fort Lauderdale bridge. It kills one person and sends two people to the hospital. The city's fire chief says the person who died was a construction worker who fell to their death. Two people inside the damaged vehicles on the bridge, they were taken to the hospital. Their injuries are said to not be serious. Another person was also hurt. The falling debris left a hole in the bridge. It has now been shut down to traffic.